Well, for more than 70 years, Norma and Francis Platell were inseparable, living their lives side by side in a care home right until the very end.
Doctors say that 90-year-old Norma and 92-year-old Francis died peacefully just moments apart. And their daughter, the journalist from the Daily Mail, Amanda Platell, says they had a beautiful ending, passing away exactly how they would have wanted. She's written an emotional column paying tribute to their life together. And I tell you what, it's impossible to read without your heart melting and your eyes moistening. And alongside her is her very good friend, Andrew Piers, who, of course, is a friend of this programme and who was a good friend to her parents and has been a friend to Amanda for many, many years. So good to see you, I know.
Thank you.
It's really lovely to see you. You know what?
Thank
your
you.
story of your parents is so inspiring. They were deeply in love. They had their moments, of course, but a 70-year marriage. But what's so affecting is that your mother had dementia towards the end of her life and seemed to check out in many ways. But the connection with her husband, the love of her life, carried on right until the last moment, didn't it?
It was completely amazing. There are many things about this I can't quite understand. The mum had advanced Alzheimer's. According to the doctors, she was virtually brain dead. She couldn't do anything except for walk. And yet, when my dad broke his hip and had to go to hospital, and mum was very mobile, she was always kind of going around a wheelie, and dad went to hospital and mum took to her bed that day. And then when dad came back from hospital and then he got the inevitable infection and everything sort of went downhill from there. And dad was bedbound, mum never got out of bed again. She would watch him. They were side by side in this lovely care home in their own room. And mum would just, and you know, I was there and I was trying to feed her. And I was saying, Mum, come on, just open your mouth a little bit. And she would smile. And then when she smiled, she'd be going like this. She just gritted her teeth together. If Dad didn't eat, she wouldn't eat. If Dad didn't drink, she wouldn't drink.
Absolutely amazing. And this remarkable...
And she's not supposed to be there, Piers. You know, she's supposed to be...
And yet subconsciously, she clearly was.
Spiritually.
Yeah.
And then, Amanda, this remarkable moment came when the nurse left the room and left your parents together. And when she came back, literally within a few minutes, 10 minutes later, they had both passed away peacefully together. I mean, it's such an extraordinary thing to have happened.
I mean, I got the message the next morning because of the time difference, because I'd only left a couple of days before. and God, I wish I'd stayed, but I had to come back to work. Literally, the nurse checked him at 11:45. Mum was breathing a little bit irregularly, and Dad was a bit agitated. So she went back in 10 minutes, and in those 10 minutes, they'd gone. And the doctors have on there, it's so beautiful on their order of services, picture of Mum and Dad on their wedding day, Mum looking so beautiful and Dad looking so handsome. And it's just got Norma June, Francis, and their death dates are exactly the same.
And even though
they can't even work out
No.
they don't even know who died first.
Even though you obviously had this, I guess, potentially horrible thing of a joint funeral for both of your parents, knowing that they had gone right together after 70 years of this extraordinary love story, that must have brought you also, despite the despair of what was happening, something that was a solace, I would imagine.
It was
so raw, isn't
Amanda
it?
and I used to talk a lot because clearly Frank was very sick. And she said, I don't know how he's clinging on. I said, I tell you why he's clinging on. He's clinging on for Norma. And then when Amanda told me they'd gone together, I said, you see, they waited for each other.
Yeah.
Their last journey, they wanted to do together. And that's exactly what they did.
You just know, anyone who knew them, look, Mum and Dad used to fight Saturday mornings. She'd be chucking pans at him in the kitchen, but they'd always close the kitchen door and they'd come out and it'd all be fine. They always closed the bedroom door. They never had any fights in the bedroom. That was one of Mum's bits of advice to me. And they were just... But the amazing thing is they were ordinary folk. You know, my dad was brought up in the bush. He was poorly educated. My mum left school at 15 to be a secretary. You know, they weren't famous, they weren't anything, but they had this abiding bond between them. And I used to pray I used to say, oh, Lord, please don't separate them. Please take them together. And
it happened.
hey-ho, they just went out together.
There was a story that I think explains your toughness as a journalist, and I've known you a long time, and it's just a lovely throwaway line in there where your dad he was like a maverick. He would wake up one day and say, we're going to go and see the Sydney Opera House. And you as a family would drive for 5 days from the bush to see the Sydney Opera House. I love that. It's like, I can't think of anything more insane and yet more brilliant.
No, but it was, and the other thing was that, because, you know, we came from a very sort of bush background, and I remember being woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning, couldn't understand why, and Dad and my older brother Michael were having a fight about whether or not they take the automatic rifle or the shotgun in the car to shoot the kangaroos as they drove along, and they did. And we slept in the car. I slept in the boot because I was the girl, so I got the nice bit.
You had a earlier family tragedy. Your brother died very sadly, and Andrew, in a way, I think you said became a kind of surrogate son to your parents.
My mum, mum and dad adored Andrew, and that picture in the Daily Mail, Andrew took it of us in France.
That's why it's such a bad photo. I'm no photographer.
And Mum always said, because my parents had a very, very strong faith, which is a wonderful thing for me now, and that Mum always used to say, Mandy, when Michael died, God sent you Andrew.
Right. And Andrew, I mean, you knew Amanda's parents so well. It's a bittersweet story.
Yeah.
Obviously, Amanda's just come back from the double funeral of her parents. It'd be enough to crush most people, and yet there's such a beautiful love story underpinning all this. And the fact that they went at the same time in the end is a beautiful way for them to end their lives.
It's extraordinary. And when I used to spend time with them, I used to be so struck how Frank would often say to Norma, I'd hear him saying to her, can I say, darling, how beautiful you look today. And I thought, you've been married for 55, 60 years.
Yeah.
He still, to him, she still looked like the bride who walked up the aisle.
That is exactly what, and even when I'd phone her Dad every morning, my morning, his evening, and he would always say, Mum's looking lovely today, her hair's beautiful, and then he would insist on holding the phone up to her even though she couldn't speak.
Because she loved to hear your voice, and he knew that.
And he just said, just tell, and I just tell Mum about my day, and nothing came back. A little bit of occasionally there'd be a word, but nothing. But look, the most important thing is from the moment I knew that my dad and my mum would want me to write this.
Yes.
I knew that, and I also want to thank Geordie, my editor, to give me that space to write it.
It was a great piece of writing, Amanda. It brought a tear to everyone's eye that read it.
Even to yours, Piers.
You know what? It even cracked me. Even cracked me.
It's a beautiful love story, but you know what is also really important? She had advanced Alzheimer's, but she was still in there.
I know.
Yeah.
And she still loved Dad. They did it together.
Yeah.
They had an amazing communication between them.
Yeah.
We've got to leave it there very sadly because we could talk about this for a long time. I think it will move so many people. Amanda, lovely to see you.
Thanks.
And we're so sorry for your double loss, and yet in a strange way, it was the perfect way for them to
It's
go.
beautiful. It's exactly the way they wanted it.
Lovely to see you.
Amanda and Andrew,
remarkable story.